Welcome everyone to GoalChatLive. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Debra Eckerling. I'm the author of Your Goal Guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals, and founder of the Deb Method, which is my system for goal setting simplified. And every Sunday night, I lead the Goal Chat Twitter chat, and then on Monday, I bring in awesome people to dive deeper into the topic. And this week, we're talking about confidence, which, oh my goodness, we had such an active Goal Chat last night. And my guests today have so much to say on the topic. It's funny, when I come up with the topics, I'll either ask people what they want to talk about, or I'll say, oh, we're talking about these things. And both Jessica and Joan were like, yes, I am your confidence gal, woman, person. So I'm absolutely thrilled because we're going to have a great conversation. And I'm going to introduce them briefly, and then I will let them chime in. We have today with us, we have Jessika Phillips. And Jessica and I are social media friends who've never had a face-to-face conversation before. Thank you, live video. Yes. And Jessica's a relationship marketing expert. And we've spoken at events together, but not together. So I'm thrilled we finally get, through the magic of the internet, get to have a chat. We also have with us Joan Gelfand, and Joan and I are connected through Women's National Book Association. I am like an honorary member of the San Francisco chapter, and I'm vice president of the LA chapter. And we were on a panel together in March. And I'm like, Joan's awesome. We need to be friends, have to get her on the show. So that's why we're all here together. But I would love for them to introduce themselves with a little more detail. And let's have you go first, Jessika.
Oh, well, hey. So yeah, I love live video. This is the second conversation I've got to have with someone that I've admired online, but haven't get to like chat with directly. And that's the power of social and building relationships, right? Reaching out. And that's what I love doing. So my personal mission is to inspire others to love more, give more, and be more through the art of authentic relating. And I have an agency now, marketing group, in a little town called Lima, Ohio, super small population, but I get the honor of working with brands all over the US and beyond to help them authentically relate with their clients, as well as growing that repeat referral business using relationship marketing best practices to do so.
And you're like the spearheader of Social Media Day Lima, right?
Yeah, so Social Media Week Lima is a conference that I host usually in June each year, but this year we have it in August, but I'm just glad we're having it again. And it's back this year after a 1 year kind of hiatus put on pause. So that's happening August 11th and 12th. Yeah, so I'm super excited to bring that back. I'm also a mama of 3 girls, teacher at a local university for marketing to help the next generation of marketers understand the power of relationship marketing.
Excellent. Well, I'm thrilled to have you here, and we'll dive into the topic in a minute. But first, Joan, welcome. Your turn. And you have good news, so be sure to also share your good news.
I'll share the good news. But first, the bad news. No, I'm kidding. Thank you. Thank you, Debra. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to have been on our panel back in March. That was super fun. It was about writers and how we are promoting our work, and that's how we met. I'm the author of 6 books. I'm a little bit unusual because I have 3 poetry collections, a book of short stories, and the book we'll talk about today, You Can Be a Winning Writer, published by Mango Press, which Debra is also published by Mango Press. And my debut novel came out last July. It's called Extreme. It's set in a Silicon Valley startup. And it just was a finalist for new fiction for the International Book Awards. So I just found out this weekend. So we're just starting to spread the word about that. The book has also been featured on NPR and on a few TV stations and a lot of magazines. So things are kind of coming along with the novel. I have been giving this talk on You Can Be a Winning Writer, and the subtitle is The 4 C's of Successful Authors: Craft, Commitment, Community, and Confidence. And the reason that I wrote this book and pitched it to Mango was that I feel that a lot of writing coaches, a lot of writing mentors are busy teaching writers how to manage the business of writing, which is also something that's super important, and that a lot of the writing programs like MFAs and other programs like that don't really take on. So I'm really glad about that, and I bring that up in my book. But I also wanted to include the confidence issue, because I realized that on my writing journey, this was a huge issue that had to be addressed. And I think that's what separates You Can Be a Winning Writer, that, I acknowledge that people have issues that they often need to work through. So I'm super excited to talk about this topic. It's one of my favorite topics, and you guys you women sound like people who have broken through, and so we're gonna have fun.
Well, and I love, and this is basically how the topic came up. We're talking, and I said, so Joan, let's talk about the 4 C's. And she's like, this. And I just lasered in on confidence, because that's an issue. I don't think, first of all, we know it's not writer specific, but in any industry, you really have to love what you're doing and have that confidence to really rise above the rest. But let's dial it back to the basic question, which is, what is confidence? And it seems like it should be like no-brainer. Confidence is well, but please, Jessika, why don't you start?
Oh man. So to me, confidence is something that can sometimes get misconstrued, I would say, with passion, because I would say if somebody asked me before if I was confident, I would say no. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel even as women, sometimes we even if we are feeling proud or acceptant of our accolades, we still sometimes don't feel comfortable admitting that, because sometimes it can be misconstrued. So I would say that for me, I've told you what confidence isn't, I guess. But for me, I would say confidence has become something I've become more comfortable with, being comfortable in my own skin and being acceptant of who I am, as far as the good parts, as well as some of the things that I was looking at potentially as negatives. And it's not necessarily a conceitedness or anything like that. Confidence to me is a comfortableness with yourself, and to be okay with realizing, yeah, I am good at this thing, and that I can do these things, and being more of a positive kind of inner critic of yourself.
I like positive inner critic, because it sounds like an oxymoron, but really it's embracing, right? The who you are, what you do well. One thing that I've noticed, because we do have people on the Twitter chat internationally, and apparently boasting about yourself isn't widely done everywhere. Joan.
It's 2 separate issues, and I was making a note while you were talking, Jessika. And first of all, I just want to say I really like the way you frame that some people can have accomplishments, but they don't own them. And that's something that I have found, and I talk about in my book, which is I can meet a writer that has 5 articles published, and they feel like, wow, I did what I came here to do. I feel awesome. And I have writers that come to me that have 2 or 3 books published, and they still don't feel confident. So confidence is a very internal topic.
Mhm.
I'll give a visceral example for me of confidence, and I think this is really common with writers. I wrote a poem. I had no idea where I was going. I wasn't sure if it was working. I read it at an open mic. People came up afterwards. They're like, nailed it. And I'm like, okay. Now I can believe in this piece. So that's why I also talk about community in my book, because I think whether you're an entrepreneur like you are, Jessika, or Debra, like you're doing with the goal setting, having a community around you who is mirroring and encouraging you makes a big difference. But the reason why I started to shake my hands is because there's a big difference between your internal confidence and self-promoting. I think self-promoting is very hard for people and they have a lot of judgment about it. But the truth is, you kind of have to take the Kool-Aid, because if you don't promote your work, absolutely no one's going to know about it. It's just, and especially as you're starting out as an entrepreneur, or, Debra and I were just talking about this. She's a first-time author. A lot of publishers and agents say, honey, keep writing, because, for example, Dan Brown, everybody thinks, oh my God, Dan Brown's so famous. He wrote the Da Vinci Code. Guess what? 2 novels in the drawer, 2 novels published already. That was his 3rd published book before people got to know who he was or that his book hit. So we just have to keep at what we're doing, and that will build the confidence. I have more to say, but I'll just stop there for a moment.
But only for a moment. And I should have. This is my first traditionally published book. It's actually my 3rd book, but I do get the difference. And one of the things that I do is, and I have the utmost respect, because I know people who are hybrid, self-published, traditionally published, 1 book, 5 books, and you're right. Some people have a lot of confidence about a little background and not enough confidence about huge accomplishments. What I wanted to add in is that I have my community right online. We have Toot Your Horn Thursday, so people can share because I celebrate everything. Yes, I am that person. Everybody gets a trophy or a gold star, because life's hard enough. When you get the wins, you should embrace them, share them, and get an atta girl, atta boy, pat on the back, gold star, whatever, because we need to celebrate everything. And I think that's something that helps, figure out, and I'm jumping ahead, how do you build confidence? Put yourself in environments. Well, let's go backwards. Why not? Put yourself in environments that are going to encourage and prop you up. So, Joan, why don't you start this one?
Yeah, this for me, I'm on board with you about Toot Your Horn Thursday. I'll toot your horn every day. But that said, what is to me hand in glove with Toot Your Horn is community building. And this is where I differ a little bit, because a lot of people will say, oh, I don't get a lot of traction on social media. Oh, nobody likes my stuff. And what I've learned over the years, and it's kind of a hard lesson, are you interacting with other people? Are you congratulating them? Like, I was at a writers' conference, and Lisa C., who is a pretty well-published novelist, her mother was a novelist, and she gave the keynote, and she said, her mother taught her, one nice note. She said every day. I mean, I think if writers or entrepreneurs even took this on once a month to write to a fellow entrepreneur writer, oh, you've accomplished this thing. Congratulations. I noticed. In fact, not only did I notice, I spread the word on my social media. In my newsletter, I have a community section, and I always tell people, write to me with your news. And in my newsletter is like, so-and-so got published here. And I don't have to do that. A lot of newsletters are just like, all about me, which is, you know, it's awesome, but it's also nice to bring in the community. And then people start to feel like, oh, Joan sees me, she supports me, she encourages me, and it becomes this warm circle. And that's what you want. That's kind of your goal, is to have it be, you know, mutual and reciprocal. And I can't talk about that enough. So important. I mean, a writer will basically never forget if you came to their reading. They will remember you.
Mm-hmm. And Lisa's an Angelino, and years ago, I saw her speak. So I'm totally with you on that. So is it to write a note once a day, once a week? What is the goal? What's a good rule of thumb?
You know, I go on Twitter pretty much every day. That's my little drug of choice. You know, I'm more on Twitter and LinkedIn than I am on Facebook. But I will always give a shout out to someone who's doing something cool that speaks to me, whether it's art or music or jazz, whatever I'm passionate about. It doesn't have to be writing poetry, but definitely celebrating my fellow writers. And no question that we have to do that. Mm-hmm. And not only celebrate them, read their book, write a review, right? It doesn't cost very much to do that. You know, give them a shout out on social media. That doesn't cost anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is building confidence in others, but does it also help the complimenter?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. When you bestow goodness on other people, they're appreciative, and it boomerang spirals, blows up.
Exactly.
Love it. Jessika, same question. What is your take on how someone builds confidence?
Yeah, so I think kind of going back to the initial mention of where it comes from, it's like, you know, getting comfortable with your inner critic and making it a positive one. I feel as though many times when we're passionate about something and we find what that passion is, then that can sometimes come off as confidence, but it can also be influenced, unfortunately, in good and bad ways by the community that we surround ourselves with, or that we constantly feel that we need that reassurance, right? Like in order to, I guess, give validation to our confidence, if that makes sense. And so I ran into this for a little while. And what I found is that instead of, you know, like I would publish things, I still do this sometimes, like publish things on Facebook only to myself and turn it to like me only, like things you want to share and you want to get out. And I found, though, the more that I would just kind of got comfortable being uncomfortable and sharing things and doing it openly, that it did help build this confidence. I feel like it's a permission. It's something that cannot come from an external resource. It can be validated by that, but it shouldn't be only validated by that. So I love the community aspect, but I feel as if it starts first from like kind of that inside out thing where you get comfortable with yourself and taking some time with yourself to say, who am I really? And like, you know, accepting and loving on your gifts and honoring that you can be that good friend that's cheering on for others. The cool thing that happens with that, and when you get really comfortable with your gifts and how you show up and giving yourself permission to show up fully and you know, with clarity and kind of conviction, what's kind of cool is that then you become this magnet that attracts those like-minded individuals that are your people, because you can find if you're showing up and you feel like you're showing up in a way that's true and vulnerable, and you're attracting some negative or people that aren't cheering you on and giving you that gold star, then you need to find a new group of people, right? Find those people that make you feel good and comfortable. And I love that Joan mentioned, you know, mirroring like others and finding those people that you can be around and be comfortable with, because that does build confidence. Not only confidence, but community, as she mentioned, as well as just the refinement of those things that you're building confidence in and on. Because the more that you're surrounding yourself with that group, then the more, I guess the deeper rooted that it comes, and it's just intrinsically part of who we naturally are anyway. When we're kids, we're confident in all things, right? It's not until we're trying to get this validation from outside resources and influences that we lose it a little bit and then become a little bit more shy. And I feel like this is more true for women. And I shouldn't say that, but in my experience, women and the women that I've surrounded myself with have all had challenges with this. But now that we have access to larger groups of people, more niches, if you will, and people that are our people, we just have to take a hard look at ourselves as well and do the work there first. And that builds the confidence. And it's not easy, but once you get there, it feels great and you'll know it.
Joan, you're nodding.
Well, I really thought that was beautiful what you said, Jessika, and I'm really glad you brought up that issue of, being vulnerable, like you said, comfortable with being uncomfortable, because people relate to your strengths and your weaknesses, right? Because that's what makes us human. And this book that I did for Mango, also a little unusual because it's not just telling people what to do, it's showing them what my writing journey was and all of the pitfalls that I encountered and the mistakes that I made. And I think that resonated with people, like, oh, she made mistakes too. It's like, yeah, we make mistakes. So yeah, I thank you for bringing that up. And also just what you're both doing around relationships. It's not just like, yeah, look at what I did, and it's like, it's awesome, to talk about your accomplishments. But I find, like, humility, sharing the spotlight, like, for example, I'm a poet, so I'll go to a poetry reading and it's an open mic, and the featured poets will have maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and the open mic people are supposed to, like, read one poem. You'll get someone get up to an open mic, they won't get off the open mic, and they're up there for 10 minutes, and you're like, okay, yeah, I get it about sharing the spotlight, but, like, you need to know, like, when, you know what I mean? And I'm also, like, a less is more person, anyway. But and I have one something else significant to say about confidence boosting, but let's go on with the conversation. I can bring it up later.
Can I add one more thing to what you just said? Because I thought it was beautiful what you were just saying with, like, sharing too, because I feel once you mentioned this too, Joan, and I have to read the book now because I'm, like, in it the more that you share about it. So I'm excited to go check that out. But sharing, and Debra, you mentioned this too, and with others, the more that we do it with our community and share the spotlight on them, not only does it boost their confidence, but also, I think you were leading into this, Debra, like ours as well, because we feel good when we make others feel good. It's kind of like when you go out, if you're going to do karaoke or something, you feel a lot more confident if there's more people there with you doing so, or if you're going out dancing or whatever it is, right? Like, we all want this sense of belonging. And when we can show up for each other and give each other almost this permission and nudge to step into things that they should be celebrating, like the book launch or, the whatever it is, and help boost their confidence that way, I feel it creates this community of belonging to where then we get to use that confidence muscle a little bit more and strengthen it, and then feel like we're going to be okay when we start doing it on our own. But it's almost, the more that we use it, I feel like it benefits everyone.
It really is something that spirals. I love the karaoke example and the dancing example because, I'm more like a backup singer, but I'm, back when we
I'm
left
the
the
lip
house
singer.
and went to places like karaoke, that was me. I'm like, okay, I'll come up and mouth the words and do up. But the bigger the group, the more you have permission. So it's a really wonderful analogy. I like that. Do you karaoke, Joan?
Has anybody done anything? I can't remember what I did before the pandemic.
Okay, so now we're gonna sing our song. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, good point. And we have Kate, who was one of my guests last week. Kate Payne, hi, thank you for jumping in. Wrote, nice to be listening in on this conversation. Now, Kate, along with Tanya, they were on last week where the topic was rebuilding your image. So this month of themes has all been rebuilding, because that's what we've all been doing. We did reinventing and then rebuilding the image. And I think confidence really goes hand in hand with those topics for all the reasons you've been saying and more, because you have to feel good in your skin in order to be able to emit that into the world. And we kind of jumped over this, so I'm going to jump back a little. But from your standpoint, why is confidence so important? Because it's one of those things that's intangible, but you know that you need it for survival in this crazy world where it's so cluttered with everyone. So Jessika, you want to start us off on this one?
Oh, yeah. So I would just, I guess, pose the question, like if you go to a doctor and he's not feeling very sure about himself or confident, you probably wouldn't feel very confident either, right? Like, so confidence, I feel, builds trust with not only, the example of who we're hiring, but also when someone else is feeling confident, you know, like how you feel when you go with someone that's stepping on that karaoke stage. It's like, no, we're going to own this. We're going to do this. You immediately feel a little bit more confident. You like being around those people. I love that you use the word emit, like Debra, that it does emit this vibe that you want to be around them. It's positive. It feels good. It's not uncomfortable. I feel like we all can feel it. So not only does it help us feel good, boost our own confidence, helping us only exercise and strengthen our own muscle, but it also does help provide clarity and conviction on who wants to work with us, because they're like, they get it, they know their worth, they own it, and if they believe in them, then I can believe in them as well.
Ooh, I love the business angle on that, because it's like we all know the person who's desperate for work, that we feel bad that they're desperate for work, but you don't want to work with that person. You want to work with the person who says, this is what I've chosen. I love it. It's me. Let's all get together and build something. That's the person you want to be with. So I love that element of it. Joan, what would you like to add to the whole why it's so important benefits of confidence question?
Okay, I'll jump in here. Well, for writers, it goes all the way from having the confidence to finish that essay, book review, story, novel, poem, and submit it, because it's not until you submit it that you really kind of start to get that feedback loop. Some people don't like to submit because they say it's all about rejection. But the truth is, you can't win if you don't submit, right? So it's like, and the truth is, the more you win, whether it's just a publication on an online magazine, a publication in a regular print magazine, or anything, a prize, an award, all those things build your confidence. So again, you have this loop. And I talk a lot about this with people, about building up their writing resume. and their writing resume is like your work resume, but it's all about what you've done in the writing world. So it's like, I've been published here, there, and everywhere. I served as this officer on this board, and all of that, you know, and I'm sure you both have heard about this, you know, success breeds success, right? I was in corporate sales before I took on my full-time author life, but I use all of those concepts of being in sales. And you know, in sales, it's a lot of jumping off the ledge. You do cold calling. It really prepared me in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of artists think, well, I'm an introvert, so the artist, being an artist, is awesome because I can do something and everybody's going to love it, and I don't have to really put myself out there. The truth is, right now, pretty much everyone has to put themselves out there. Even if you're published by Simon and Schuster, they're still saying, you hire your own publicist, you tout your own book. So, I mean, the confidence is almost like if you're building a house, you can't build it without the foundation. And this is the foundation. And I don't want to be too airy-fairy, like, oh, you know, you should go to therapy and really work your stuff out. Yes, you should go to therapy and work your stuff out if you have to. But at some point with some of these things, it really is just like, whew, I'm jumping. Like just like diving into a pool, you know, like you just do it, right? And what's the worst that can happen? You know, you're not going to die, and no one's going to die. You're just going to test the waters and see how. And that feedback loop is just invaluable. Invaluable. You need the feedback loop, whether it's a rejection or an acceptance. You need to know. Yeah.
I love this. This is great. I feel like I really have to talk about the Deb method for a second because of everything that you're saying. So my system is foundational. It's if you put in the time and the work to figure out what you want and what that looks like, and then you look at where you are, where you want to go. And I'm really big on the mission and motto as the guidepost. So what are you creating? Why are you creating it? And what do you hope it does to help the rest of the world? When you do that and you know your stuff, that's like the first step to confidence. Because, and I do frequently say this, I dare anybody to find someone who loves goals more than I do. I mean, I want people to be excited about them, but you both know this, I could go on for hours. I will not. But the point is, when you give yourself that gift, figure out what you want to write, what business you want to create, what are the things that make you feel the most you. When you lay that foundation, I think that's like the best springboard.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, there will be times when it seems like things are going smoothly, and then there will be times when you feel like you're walking through the desert. And, you know, there's times when like, oh, I'm getting all this support and encouragement and my community is right there. And then there's times where you're like, whoa, I'm dying out here. And that's another part of confidence to just, I mean, how many times did I think I was just going to ditch my whole efforts because they weren't going at the pace I wanted. And so that's the other, you know, that's where the commitment comes in my 4 C's, right? And as I say to people, when you're an entrepreneur or an artist, there's no one there who's kind of forcing you to do this. You don't have a boss. You're your own boss.
Yeah.
Which is really how my community started out. So I started leading these live writer support groups, and the people who came in would be like, thank goodness you're here. My family doesn't get me. And it would be, what did you accomplish? Here's your gold star. What are you working on? How can we troubleshoot? So the value of the live and having the people. So if you're listening, watching, and you don't have people who want to say, yay, raw, go you now have 3 more, or, you know, join my community as well, because that's really the vibe of what I do. You know, over time it's evolved. It's writers, creatives, and entrepreneurs, because if you're one, you're the other too. But we need the atta girls, atta boys, the gold stars, the Pats, especially when there is drought, because there is always going to be a little bit of drought. Do you have any recommendations for drought? And I'm saying this, I'm in California. I shouldn't say West Coast is always kind of a little droughty. Jessika, were you about to say something?
Oh, I was just going to add on to what you both had shared so beautifully about, the confidence in actually like shipping your stuff out, like, submitting your work, right? Like, I feel like often we are so nervous and almost subconsciously not even realizing. So when you said go to therapy, 100% do it. NLP, timeline, whatever. I feel like everybody can benefit from it, because subconsciously, a lot of times we don't allow ourselves to get to that point of building confidence because we're like, it's not ready to publish. Or is it really that good? Because sometimes our gifts, we don't even realize are as good as they are because they come so natural to us that we don't see it for the beauty that it is, because it's so intrinsically us. So when you were saying about, just kind of shipping it out and submitting your work, I feel like that's the thing to kind of kickstart us, if you will, is to, I love, like Mel Robbins shared the 5-second rule, or I think it was a 5 or 10-second countdown that she used to do before she would, do something, instead of questioning and getting in her head, because her head will always tell us to stay safe and not do that big thing, that big audacious goal, unless you're Debra, because she loves goals. But like for many of us out there, that we won't push forward often unless we feel like it's a sure thing. So if we can just make ourselves publish that post, or ship the work out, or do that thing, and just do it first, then again, it's like strengthening that muscle to kind of get it out there and build upon it to help us get to that confidence point. And I love the thing that you mentioned, one other thing, sorry, about the group that you have. I feel like that could also be a good way of some accountability setting, right? So if you're trying to work on this, it could be something after you get, getting comfortable with what your gifts are and where you want to be, and your goals, and aligning with that. Maybe set up a challenge with a group of individuals that do get you, that are not your family and questioning you because they don't do the same thing as you, so they're not going to get it. Find your people, maybe create a group or join a group, and get some accountability to challenge yourself to keep strengthening that muscle and encouraging others along the way, because all those things are feeding back our own confidence as we're supporting building someone else's.
Yes. In my group, I do at the beginning of the week, networking goals, goals, and then Toot Your Horn Thursday, Photo Friday. So there's always a reason. And it was a group that became a page that became a group. And when the page was more interactive, I always found it really interesting that some people would either set goals and then not report on them, or they would report on them even though they didn't set them. And it's really when you need to find your people and put yourself in that bubble of the cheerleading, because that's what it's all about. Now, I'm fortunate because, I grew up with the mom who said, okay, Deb, follow your passion, do the things you love. So I'm like the cheerleader raised by the cheerleader. But because of that, I know so many people don't have that. So I'm happy. I'll get out the gold stars and pom-poms.
It's so sad that people don't have that. Sorry, and the last thing I'll say, but I honestly got a text this morning, and it was from a gal in my community, and she said, oh my gosh, I just landed this speaking gig, and I didn't know who else to share it with but you. And I'm like, oh my goodness, one, thank you. I'm honored, and kudos to you. I'm cheering you on. But finding those people, because that's sad, like keeping that stuff to yourself. So yeah, I love that you're doing that within your community.
And the heartening, yay, congratulations to your friend. I think people also need to be a little careful, because not everybody's going to be your champion. And you could say something to someone who doesn't have your best interest. And that's a whole nother line of sad. Know who will give you that feedback. And if you have to keep your good a secret until you get to the right people, then do that, because it's worth it. Joan, you look like you've been angling to chime in. Please join us.
I was making some notes while we were talking. Well, this is kind of a little bit of a joke, but when you were talking about confidence, and if someone is desperate for work, that's not the person you want to work with. I would always say to people, it's easier to get a job when you have a job, and easier to get a spouse when you already have a spouse. Because it's your level of attractiveness, right? If people love the idea of engaging with someone successful. Like you said, Jessika, you were talking about that a little bit. And B, kind of they like the idea, that little subconscious challenge of oh, I'm going to win you away from this other job to this job. And it's the same thing with coaching. It's like, if I went up to someone and said, I could really help you be a better writer, or a more successful writer, they might give me the hairy eyeball. But if I had given a class and 20 people were saying, yeah, I have this problem, and I'm like, here's how you solve it. Yeah, I have this problem. So they've seen me in action. And it's the same thing with what we're all doing. We all like to leverage our testimonials, right? So if anybody ever says anything nice about what we do, we call that a testimonial. Our endorsements. I tell people, when you send your manuscript out, tell the publisher who you think is going to endorse that book. That shows that you've already been networking. You've already been thinking in your mind about selling. And publishers like to know that you're going to sell your book. That's very important. They are very nervous these days about giving contracts to people who don't have, they basically won't do it. If you don't have a social network, if you don't have, some people say, unless you have a minimum of 5,000 people across your, on each platform, you can't even get an agent to look at you. And that's not easy. Getting 5,000 followers, 5,000 social media connections, that can take some serious time, of course, unless something you do goes viral. But, getting those people to stay also as your followers is another. So that's what I'll say about that.
And so, Jessika, I know this is part of your area of expertise. Do you have some words of wisdom on building that social tribe?
Oh yeah, where do you want to start? So there's so many ways of building your tribe, but I think it does start with being confident, knowing who you are, right? Because you want to attract the right people, because as Joan just beautifully said, getting people there is one thing, keeping them is a whole other thing. So you can do lots of trickery and fanciness to try to get people to your page once. But if they're not your right people, that aren't attracted to you because you are showing up as wholly 100% you, that is memorable, they're not going to stick around, and they're not going to refer others to you as well. And that's the key. So I like to say, our goal with relationship marketing is turning our followers on our page to real fans. Like, what does that look like? What is that difference, right? What is our, turning our community into collaborators? So it's also not only growing because now we're growing our fans, true fans, because we know who they are. We know who we are. We're starting from this inside out kind of mentality to grow like this flywheel, which is going to just grow in momentum over time. Once we know who we are, we know who our people are, that are going to grow in momentum, then we know who our community is, so we can collaborate with them. And that then is introducing us to their community, that they have a trusted community that now we're getting introduced to. So by just that introduction, people already have a better feeling about you as an individual. I know when I came in here, I know and respect Debra, she has Joan in here, and I'm like, already, I want to check you out, because if you're people of Debra's people, if you will, then most likely you're my kind of people. So that it makes a huge, huge difference as well, building that community, and then continuously showing up with consistency as well. Like that is going to be just, several clear things that we can do that don't take money, really, time or money if you're going to pay someone else to do it, but to do that will definitely move the needle in growing your not only your following that publishers may look at, but truly your voice that others will share. And that's what's really going to grow your brand as a whole. And that doesn't matter what book you're publishing, what you're launching, what your business is, what you do, people are connected to you, and they will then continue to follow you when it's fully and really you.
I feel like I pushed the social media button on Jessika, and which was wonderful. And I love how these conversations come together, because you're hitting the C words that Joan loves so much. Joan, did you want to talk?
You still want me to speak? Are you sick of hearing me speak already?
Never. Okay, but she just mentioned 2 of your C's.
I guess I'll just reiterate, craft, but let's assume that everybody's working on their craft. Commitment, which, we can't really accomplish anything unless we commit to it. And we've talked quite a bit about community and confidence. What I wanted to say, I guess this would be kind of almost the last thing that I'll say, is, after kind of plugging away at this for about 20 years, and this is like just purely living my writer life, patience, and time. Very few people wake up one day and the next day have 20,000 followers. It's a really time, commitment. And look at everything we've talked about. We're interacting with community. We're getting people to know us. And then, of course, there's real face time, which is, now that we're kind of turning the corner on the pandemic, going out, meeting people, working as a volunteer in the community, all of that, so important.
Well, before we wrap, we've got a little bit of time left. We have to do 2 things. Okay, 3, 5, 7, 2. Let's start with the 2. Is I would like each of you to share a goal for the audience that can help them build confidence, develop. It could be basically anything you want that someone could do right when they're done listening to this conversation, and it's going to make a difference. And I agree, it's all about the baby steps. And also, well, I'll let you, I have plenty of my own opinions, but I'll let you think, because I'm going to share one. Is I have this client who said, I said, how was your week? It was okay. I said, well, what did you do right? And he gave me a couple of things. What went wrong? List. What went right? And he had to think. I said, you have to start keeping a win journal. So every day, write 1, 2, or 3 things down that were wins. So when you need that burst, it's right there. Totally. So I guess we'll make that the bonus goal. I guess I should have let you both go first. Oh, well, Jessika, do you have your bonus goal? You look like you do.
Yeah. So I think one thing you could do automatically if you're working to build confidence and maybe trying to get that foundation set is to ask a few of your closest network of people. I don't want to just say friends, but network of people that know you and have seen you show up in that thing that it is that you do, your superpower. Ask them, what are the 3 things that you think about when you think about me? Like, what are those 3 things that you feel are my biggest gifts? And when you ask several people about this, so I would say maybe ask 5 people, start off, you'll start hearing some similarities. And I would say start there because it's something that you can do to build upon. I know that helped me when creating my care method, as well as just showing up even more so me, because the whole thing is I was told is that you care a lot. And I was a lot of times hearing the negative part of it's business, keep business separate from personal. But then when I started hearing that my superpower was caring a lot, I was like, you know what, I'm going all in on that superpower then instead and doing it that way. So again, I think that could be some good homework to get some clarity on what it is that you really have intrinsically inside of you that you can build a confidence upon.
That's great. I love that. And tell us your care method.
Oh yeah. So I like to say we help people out-care the competition. So capturing attention, articulate your message, relationships for repeat referral business, and exceptional experiences. So
fantastic. Well, I'm all about the motto. I think that works beautifully and brilliantly for you. So thank you for sharing that. Great goal. Joan.
Yes, and thank you, Jessika, for being so deep. I love that. I'm going to be a little more pragmatic because remember I talked about building up a resume that you could present to people about your successes. So what I would say, going out, leaving here, making a new goal, I would say do something every single day to forward your business or your, let's say, your writing career. So to me, it would be send out 5 submissions, even though it doesn't seem like a lot. At the end of the month, it's 20. And at the end of the year, it's 240. And here's the beauty. The average acceptance from submissions is right around 4%. And so that means if you have 240 submissions that you've put out there, you've got 10% would be 24, 5% is 12. Well, that means that there's a chance you could get about between 8 and 10 acceptances. I mean, and this is also what I brought over from my corporate sales life. There's numbers, and sometimes it's just approaching a large group or sending out these large numbers of submissions. So, and all of this builds our confidence, goes right back to confidence, definitely.
I love that. So it's like 1 a day, 5 a week. You can do 5 on Monday, and then if you have time later in the week, do another 5. Right. But the numbers game, I think that's great. And then I have successes, write them out, look at them, and do everything you need to keep elevating yourself.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Oh, this is so much fun. What other thoughts as we wrap up? Do you have a final thought or two, Joan? Oh, actually, Joan, let's dial back. Can you do a couple just sentences, because we talked about the care. Can you do a little bit more on your 4 C's just to hit it home, and then I'll grab a final tip from both of you.
Let's see. So just to repeat, I'd say build community, perfect your craft, don't go lightly at your goal, really make a commitment. And that means that when things aren't going well, keep it up. And then, of course, if we've been talking about, they can listen to this podcast again, 45 minutes on confidence. And I think what we're all saying, which is something so beautiful, is that we really are not alone. We are part of a system. We are part of a ecosystem. You know what I mean? And to remember that, and that the more people kind of put their feelers out and their little octopus fingers, into the community and into their field, I think the more benefit they're going to find.
Remember that you're not alone. I think that cannot be underscored enough.
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay when we all agree to agree. So I want you to think about your final tip while I do a little housekeeping. Thank you both so much. I cannot believe how much, well, I can believe how much we packed in to this action-packed confidence hour. Now, remember, if you're watching or listening, you can go to thedebmethod.com/blog, where the recap and the links will be up from this conversation. And if you need to set some goals, you can grab a copy of your goal guide. It's yourgoalguidebook.com on Amazon or at your favorite bookstore. Because when I think is the word, you're ready to fully embrace the who you are and put the confidence behind what you love, go hone in on the thing that you love that is your superpower, go all in, and use Joan's 4 C's to keep propelling yourself forward. So Joan, where can people find you and what is your final tip?
My website is joangelfand.com, really easy to find. And my tip is stop fantasizing and start doing. Action is really critical.
Stop fantasizing and start doing. Gee, let's see. Can we put an even finer point to it? I don't think so. It's true. It's you. At some point, you have to get out of your head. And why not do it now? Right?
Totally.
Okay. And Jessika, what is your final tip?
Yeah, I really love Joan's tip to just go for it, right? But I would also say, start building that muscle, strengthening that muscle. So I'd say start each morning if you're already writing things out with just 2 things that you're grateful for, and start training your brain to look for that good. So when you're writing those things that you're grateful for, then if you're looking online, give 2 gold stars away in honor of Debra, for people. But no, look for those people that you can celebrate. I don't care if it's even a photo that they're putting up, they've changed their profile photo, tell them it's beautiful, or maybe they launched their new book, or they are doing this show, how much value you got out of it. So I did want to say thank you to Kate and all your kind words that you've been saying in the comments. So the 2 J's are very informative and tuned into confidence building. So thank you so much, Kate, for that. So just 2 things, just train yourself to do that. When you're putting that out, you're going to get that back and then some. So start building and strengthening that muscle and putting out all the good vibes without being too woo-woo, but you're going to get it back. And just listen to Joan, what she said. Just
Jessika, and Jessika, where can people find you?
So my personal website is jessikaphillips.com. Yes, my name is spelled with a K. No, it is not for marketing purposes. It's really how it's spelled, Jessika, Phillips.com. And all my social channels are there to connect.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both. I don't think I am confident that we could not have had a better conversation about confidence. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Jessika. Thank you, Kate, for all of your comments. Thank you, everybody watching, whether you're live or the replay. I think the bottom line, if I were to tie everything up in a nice bow, is if you need some confidence, you can borrow it from any one of us. We have faith in you. Have faith in yourself. Whatever you want out of life, you can do it. So go on out there. Go for it. Thank you again, ladies. This has been beautiful. Jessika Phillips, Joan Gelfand, I so appreciate you and all of your brilliance today.
Thank you.
Thank you.